The wind blew through the broken city like a ghost. Buildings were burned, streets cracked, and smoke still rose in the distance. It had once been a beautiful alien world. Now it looked like the end of everything. Daniel, a human soldier, walked slowly down the ruined street. His uniform was torn, his face covered in dirt. The war had ended only 2 days ago, but this place still smelled like fire and death. He didn't belong here anymore. He just wanted to get back to the human base and forget all of it. But then he heard something. A soft sound. Not wind, not rubble. A voice. It was a cry. He turned sharply, pulling out his sidearm. His eyes scanned the shadows, ready for danger. But what stepped out was not a soldier. Not a threat. It was a child, small, thin. Her skin was silver blue, glowing slightly under the moonlight. She had long dark hair that hung like wet ropes. Her arms were wrapped around her chest, shaking, her eyes, large and bright, filled with fear. "People, Lees," she whispered, voice cracking, human. "They took my sister." Daniel froze. She was an alien child, no more than 8 or 9 if he guessed. Her bare feet were bruised, her dress torn. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. But her voice, that voice, held something more than pain. It held desperation. He slowly lowered his weapon. "Who are you?" he asked, carefully. "My name is Yelry," she said, her lips trembling. "I was hiding. I saw them. They took her." "Who slavers?" she said, almost spitting the word. "Big ones. Black armor, no faces. They grabbed her while we were running. I couldn't help." Tears began to fall from her eyes. Daniel's heart thudded. Slavers. After the war. That meant someone was collecting survivors, selling them. That was illegal. Worse, it was evil still. He didn't move. He didn't sign up to play hero. "I'm sorry," he said, trying to stay cold. "But I can't help you. I have to go." Yelry stepped forward. "Please. You're a human. The others, they all ran. They don't care. But you looked back. You stopped. That means something, doesn't it?" Daniel looked away. "Why?" "Me?" he asked, almost angry. "Why ask me?" She reached into her pocket and pulled out something small. A round, glowing stone. It pulsed faintly in her palm. Blue, then red, then blue again. "My sister gave me this. It lights when someone is near. Someone who can help. Someone who has the heart to save." The stone pulsed faster when she stepped closer to Daniel. He stared at it. "That's just tech," he said. "Nothing magic about it." "Maybe," she said softly, "but it's never glowed like this before." Until now. Daniel felt a chill run through him. She was just a child. Dirty, hungry, alone. But she was standing in front of him like she believed, truly believed, that he could save her sister. He didn't want to care, but he did. "I don't even know where they went," he muttered. "I do," she said quickly. "They left marks. Signs. I saw the ship go north into the dark zones. I can show you." Daniel looked around. The world was broken. Dangerous. The last thing he needed was to go deeper into this chaos for a girl he didn't know. But he couldn't leave her here. "All right," he said slowly. "I'll help you find her. But if we get into trouble, you run. Do you understand?" Yelry nodded quickly. "I won't run without her." He sighed. Of course she'd say that. He reached into his bag and gave her a small protein bar. She took it like it was treasure, biting into it fast. Then she looked up and gave him a smile. Not a big one. Not a happy one, but a real one. And Daniel realized he wasn't walking away. This time, he had just agreed to follow a glowing alien girl into the ruins of a war zone. because of a stone that pulsed with color and a voice that wouldn't stop, crying as the two of them moved forward into the dark streets. Daniel felt something he hadn't felt since the war began. A reason, the sun never rose properly on the ruined city. Just a dull red glow behind clouds of smoke. Daniel and Yelri moved carefully through broken streets, staying low. Watching every shadow, Yelri held tight to the glowing stone. It no longer flashed wildly, but gave off a soft blue light, calm, steady. She said it meant they were still on the right path. Daniel wasn't sure what he believed anymore. He had been a soldier for years, seen many things, but a scared alien girl with a stone that points to help was a first. Still, he couldn't ignore how serious she looked, how brave she was trying to be. "Tell me more about these slavers," Daniel said as they ducked under a collapsed building. "They wear masks," Yelri whispered. "Their voices are not their own. They speak through metal, cold, like machines. They came 2 days after the bombs. Said they were cleaning up, but they only took people. Survivors, not to help them, but to sell them." Daniel gritted his teeth. "That's sick." "They don't care about age," she said, her voice shaking. "My sister, she's only a little older than me." Daniel slowed his steps. "What's her name?" "Ralia," she answered quickly. "She always protected me, even when we had no food, even when we were hiding under the ground." He nodded. "Then we're going." To get her back, Yelri didn't smile. She just held the stone tighter. After an hour of walking through debris, Yelri stopped. She pointed to a metal pole near a fallen wall. There was a black mark burned into the side, a strange symbol like a hand with too many fingers, curled inward. "That's them," she said softly. "They leave these where they travel. It means they've taken someone." Daniel studied it. The symbol was scorched deep into the metal. No mistake, whoever made it wanted others to know. This was their territory. He scanned the area. Rubble everywhere. But also, something odd scrapes in. The ground, like heavy crates, had been dragged across the broken road. Burn marks from engine exhaust. "Looks like they used a hover skiff here," Daniel said. "Big one, carried cargo or people." "They always use those," Yelri said. "Fast, silent. My people can't outrun them." Daniel knelt down and placed his hand on the ground. It was still warm. "They passed through not long ago," he muttered. "We can follow." They kept walking, now more urgently. The city gave way to a darker aerialed factories, rusted towers, piles of waste. The red light from the sky barely reached here, and then they heard it. A hum, taut, faint, low. Mechanical Daniel pulled Yelri behind a metal wall and peeked out. Just beyond the wreckage, a hover skiff hovered in the air. It was black, with strange glowing symbols on its side. 2 masked figures stood beside it, scanning the area with long staffs that clicked and hissed. Yelri gasped. "Those are the ones." Daniel narrowed his eyes. "Do they know we're here?" "No," she whispered. "Not yet. But that ship, it's one of theirs. That's how they take people." Suddenly, one of the slavers turned. A red beam of light shot from its staff and scanned the area. Daniel ducked just in time. "They're searching," he said. "Maybe for more survivors. Or for us." He looked down. Yelri was shaking again, her hand over her mouth. Daniel took her hand gently. "We're not going to get caught, I promise." She nodded, trying to be brave. Daniel pulled out a small device from his belt, a signal scanner. He aimed it at the ship and waited. A soft ping responded. "There's a tracker inside," he whispered. "Looks like 6 life forms. Could be prisoners." Yelri's eyes widened. "She could be there. We need a closer look." They crawled around the wreckage, avoiding the red beams. Daniel's training kicked in every step, measured, every breath quiet. He motioned for Yelri to stay low, and she followed his lead. Like a shadow, they stopped near the edge of the platform where the ship hovered, and then Daniel saw them. Inside a clear pod. Behind energy glass small alien figures, locked in place, sleeping, or drugged. One of them had silver blue skin. Long dark hair. Yelri gasped softly. That's her. Daniel gently pulled her back. They haven't taken off yet. We have a chance. But we need to wait for the right moment. I can distract them, Yelri said quickly. Daniel looked at her in shock. No, absolutely not. They won't hurt me, she said. They need children alive. That's what they said when they took her. If they see me, they'll chase me. You can get her out while they do. That's insane. It's the only way. Daniel wanted to yell. He wanted to say no. He wanted to grab her and run the other way. But time was running out, and the ship's engines were powering up. He looked into her eyes, burning with fear, but also courage. All right, he said, heart heavy. But if anything goes wrong, you run to me. Don't be a hero. Yelri nodded, stood, and ran into the open. The slavers turned, their red eyes locked onto her, and the chase began. Yelri ran, her small feet slapped against the broken ground. Her silver blue skin flashed under the red sky as she darted through rusted pipes and fallen beams. She didn't look back. The slavers shouted in their cold metal voices. Subject identified, pursue, capture alive. Red lights scanned wildly. Boots thundered behind her, and from the shadows, Daniel moved. He crouched low, sneaking toward the ship. With the slavers chasing Yelri, the landing zone was clear. He reached the base of the hover skiff and climbed the rear ramp, staying hidden in its blind spot. His heart pounded like a war drum. Inside the ship, a strange smell hung in the air, something like burned metal and chemicals. The hallway was dim, lit only by pulsing blue lights. Daniel moved fast, counting doors. He found the holding chamber. A glass wall separated him from the prisoners inside. 6 children, all alien, all silent. Eyes closed, held upright by magnetic cuffs. And one of them Yelri's sister. He knew it instantly. Same silver blue skin, same long hair. But her face looked pale and still. Her wrists hung limp. Her chest rose and fell slowly. She was alive, but not awake. Daniel looked for controls. Nothing simple. A keypad glowed beside the door. Full of alien symbols, he frowned. No time for code breaking. He pulled out a small EMP grenade, tapped the side to adjust the radius, then pressed it against the panel. Sorry if this hurts. He muttered. He turned away and pressed the trigger. A hump sound pulsed through the hallway. The lights flickered. Sparks danced. The energy barrier dropped, and the magnetic cuffs released. The children collapsed forward. Daniel rushed in and caught Ralia before she hit the floor. Hey, kid, he whispered. Your sister sent me. Her eyes didn't open, but she moved. A small twitch of her fingers. It was enough. He gently lifted her onto his shoulder. She was light to light, like she hadn't eaten in days. Suddenly, a mechanical voice shouted. From outside the ship, the child is a diversion. Intruder detected. The slavers had realized the trap. Daniel cursed under his breath. He tapped his wrist. Come, Yelri. Run. They're on to me. He heard her breathing fast. I'm close. They're behind me, 4 of them. Lead them into the scrapyard, then hide. I'll meet you there. Daniel looked back at the other children. He wanted to save them all. But the ship was shaking now. The engines roared louder. The system was rebooting. He had seconds. He whispered, I'm sorry. and ran down the ramp with Ralia in his arms. Blaster shots cracked past him. One grazed his shoulder, burning hot. He winced but didn't stop. He ran across the open ground and ducked into the maze of rusted towers. Behind him, alarms screamed. The hover skiffs started to rise. They were leaving, but not giving up. From the sky, searchlights began sweeping the scrapyard. Yalri crouched behind a broken engine core, holding her breath. Her heart thudded in her chest. She heard boots on metal. Voices, the slavers were near. She stayed perfectly still. Then a hand grabbed her shoulder. She almost screamed till she saw the face. Daniel, he held Ralia in his arms. Sweat on his forehead, blood on his sleeve, but smiling. She's safe, he whispered. Yelri's eyes filled with tears. She reached out, touching her sister's face. Ralia, wake up. I'm here. Ralia stirred slightly. Daniel motioned. We have to move. They're searching. They crept deeper into the scrapyard, ducking behind piles of junk and twisted metal. After several tense minutes, they found a hollowed cargo container half buried in rubble. Daniel slipped inside and helped the girls in. He pressed a button on his wrist, activating a signal jammer. They won't find us here, he said, panting. For now, Yelri held her sister close. Ralia was warm, but still didn't wake. She's too weak, Yelri whispered. They gave her something. I don't know what. Daniel checked his medkit. Ha, I have stabilizers. It'll help her stay alive. But she needs real treatment soon. He injected a small dose into Ralia's neck. Her breathing slowed, then evened out. Daniel sat back, finally breathing again. Yelri looked at him, her eyes wide. You saved her. She's not safe yet. He said quietly, we still have to escape this place. Yelri nodded, but then asked, why did you help me? Daniel looked at her for a long moment. I've seen too much evil, he said. Sometimes you walk away, but sometimes you have to stop running. You hear a voice crying in the dark, and you don't walk away from it. Tears rolled down Yelri's cheeks. Thank you, she whispered. Outside, the sky grew darker, but inside the cargo container, for the first time since the war began, Hope had found a place to rest. Asterisk inside the old cargo container. The air was tight and heavy. Every breath echoed slightly against the metal walls. Daniel sat in one corner, watching the two sisters. Ralia was sleeping with her head on Yelri's lap. Her chest moved slowly, but the color was coming back to her cheeks. Daniel had done what he could. Now he waited. Yelri stroked her sister's hair gently. Her eyes were distant, like she was thinking about something far away, something dark. Daniel leaned forward. You should get some rest too. She shook her head. I can't sleep. Not yet. You're safe here. No one is safe, she whispered. Daniel frowned. Yelri, what aren't you telling me? She didn't answer at first. Then she slowly looked up. My sister. She isn't just my sister, she said. Daniel waited. She's the daughter of the last queen of our people, Yelri said softly. When the Empire invaded, they destroyed the palace. Everyone thought the royal family died, but my mother hid us. We lived in the tunnels for years. Daniel blinked. Your princesses? Yelri nodded. But we never lived like it. We ate scraps, we hid. My mother died in the dark. She made me promise never to tell anyone who we were. But I had to break that promise to save Ralia. Daniel sat back, trying to understand. That's why the slavers took her, Yelri continued. Not just to sell her, but to control our people. They own her, they own the name. The line, they can use her to rule the broken worlds. Daniel rubbed his forehead. This is bigger than I thought. Yelri's voice dropped to a whisper. If they find out she's alive, they'll come with armies. He stood up and began pacing. Then we need to move. Get her far away from here? Yalri stared at the ground. There's only one place she'll be safe. The forgotten outpost. My mother told us about it. Old allies of the royal family still. Hi there, they might still remember us. Daniel glanced at her. Might. It's been many years. They may not believe me. They may not help. It's still better than waiting here. He checked the scanner on his wrist. The slavers are searching the city. We have a few hours, maybe less. Yalri held Ralia close. Then let's go. The journey to the outpost wasn't easy. Daniel carried Ralia on his back. Yalri walked beside him, her small hand gripping the glowing stone. It had started to flicker again red and blue, like it was unsure. The sky darkened. Clouds rolled in above them. A storm was coming. They moved through a narrow canyon, the wind howling through broken rocks. Daniel stopped at the entrance of a tunnel carved into the cliff. This, the place? He asked. Yalri nodded. It leads to the old starport. The outpost is beyond it. Daniel took a deep breath. Let's hope someone's still home. The tunnel was cold and silent. Metal walls were rusted. Old signs in alien script hung from the ceiling, swinging slightly in the breeze. Yalri led the way, moving like she'd walked these halls before. Then they heard a voice. Stop where you are. A light flashed. Daniel raised his hands. From behind a heavy door, 3 figures stepped out. They wore armor wold, battered but strong. Their faces were alien but kind. Who are you? The leader barked. Daniel opened his mouth to speak, but Yalri stepped forward. She raised the glowing stone high. I am Yalri, the daughter of Queen Arama, sister to Ralia, first of the royal line. We come in peace, seeking protection. The guards froze. One of them whispered, by the stars. It's true. They lowered their weapons. Come inside, quickly. Inside the outpost, the lights were brighter, the air warmer. Daniel finally laid Ralia down on a soft bed. An older alien woman approached, her eyes wide with recognition. She looks just like her mother, she said softly. Yalri nodded. They gave her drugs poisons. Can you heal her? We will try. You brought her back, child. You've done the impossible. The woman looked at Daniel. You human. Why did you help them? Daniel didn't know what to say. I heard a cry, he said at last. And I didn't walk away. The woman smiled. Then you're more than a soldier. You're a protector. As the healers began working on Ralia, Yalri sat beside Daniel. Gee, her hand wrapped around his. She wake up soon, she whispered. I know it. Daniel didn't speak. He just gave her hand a gentle squeeze. He didn't feel like a hero, but in that moment, to Yalri, he was. Daniel stood on the edge of the cliff outside the hidden outpost, watching the sky. It was no longer calm. Bright flashes lit the clouds above. Small black dots grew larger slaver ships. They had found the trail. They were coming. Inside the outpost, Yalri sat beside her sister, who still slept. Ralia's color was returning. The healers had done all they could. Only rest could save her. Daniel walked in fast. We have a problem. Yalri looked up, her heart jumping. They found us. He nodded. 10 ships, all armed. They're scanning the ground. If we stay, they'll land. One of the old guards said, we have defenses, but not enough to fight that many. Daniel turned to the elder healer. Do you have a working ship? She nodded. A small one. It's old, but it can fly. Daniel looked at Yalri. We take your sister and run. Now, if they capture her again, it's over. Yalri stood. I won't leave these people. Daniel's voice was firm. You'll die if you stay. Then I'll die with them. Silence fell in the room. The elder woman stepped forward. She speaks with her mother's fire. But she is young, she must live. If Ralia is the future, then Yelri is the shield. Yelri's eyes filled with tears. I don't want to run anymore. Daniel knelt in front of her. Then, we don't run. We make them bleed first. The outpost. Buzzed with movement, old weapons were uncovered. Defense cannons rose from hidden platforms. Lights flickered back to life in long-dead hallways. The few remaining fighters, alien and human alike, stood together. Daniel took a deep breath and spoke to them. I'm not one of you. I'm just a soldier who answered a cry in the dark. But what I found here, it matters. That girl, he pointed to, the sleeping Ralia, is a symbol. And these slavers want to take your symbol and break it. He raised his rifle. I say we break them first. The crowd roared an hour later. The sky cracked open. Fire and thunder rained down as the first slaver dropships landed outside the cliff's huge machines walked across the rock, carrying cannons and scanning towers. The main ship floated above black, silent, watching. Yelri stood on the roof of the outpost beside Daniel. She wore a long coat, too big for her, and clutched her glowing stone tightly. They're here, she said. Daniel checked his rifle. Let them come. The first slaver unit marched forward, 10 masked figures with red lights across their chests. One of them carried a flag with the handmark symbol. The same symbol burned into the cities they had ruined. Suddenly, dash, boom. The outpost's cannon fired. The blast hit one of the machines, sending it crashing down the cliff in pieces. The battle had begun. Daniel moved like lightning. He ducked behind walls, firing burst after burst. The aliens fought beside him, some using old plasma spears, others throwing energy grenades into the smoke. Yari stayed inside the medical chamber, protecting Ralia, but she could feel the walls shaking. Her hands trembled. She looked down at her stone. It pulsed red, bright and hot. No, she whispered. I won't just hide. She ran to the control room. The elder woman turned in shock. Child, what are you doing? I need to help. Let me use the comms. But Yelri grabbed the mic. She took a deep breath. Then she spoke. To all fighters. This is Yelri of the Royal Line. Do not give up. You are not alone. We fight not for land or weapons, but for the right to live free. For the right to choose our future. My sister is still alive, and I am still standing. The room went quiet. Outside, the fighters heard her voice in their earpieces, in their helmets. Even echoing across the valley. Hope lit their hearts like fire. Daniel heard her voice as he ducked behind a broken turret. He smiled. You're a leader already. He whispered. Then he spotted the slaver commander, a tall figure in black armor. Red eyes glowing like fire. Daniel charged. They met in the center of the battlefield, blades flashing, fists clashing. The slaver's blade scraped across Daniel's side, tearing his armor. Blood dripped, but he didn't stop. He struck back, slamming his elbow into the creature's head. I don't care who you are, Daniel growled. You're not taking her again. With one final blow, Daniel knocked the slaver to the ground and smashed the mask. Underneath was no face, just wires and circuits. Machines, Daniel muttered. They're not even alive. But it didn't matter. They could still be broken. The final cannon fired. The sky cracked. One of the slaver ships exploded mid-air, its parts raining down. Like black stars, the rest began to pull back. They were losing, retreating, running inside the outpost. Elri stared at the screen. The red dots, the enemy signals were fading. She whispered, They're leaving. The elder woman placed a hand on her shoulder. Because of you. Yelri turned to her sister's bed and saw her eyes slowly opening. Ralia. She cried, running over. Ralia blinked slowly. You came for me. Yelri hugged her tight. We're safe now. We're together. And Daniel, walking in with blood on his arm and dirt on his face, smiled through the pain. We made it. Asterisk 2 days had passed since the slavers retreated from the outpost. Smoke still lingered in the valley, but the air was calmer. The fires were out. The wounded were healing. And in the center of it all, Ralia was awake, but alive. Daniel sat near the medical room door, rifle across his knees, eyes half closed. He hadn't slept much. Every creak made him flinch. He didn't trust that the slavers were truly gone. Inside the room, Yelri fed her sister warm broth. You need to eat, she said gently. I'm trying, Ralia whispered, voice rough. They looked at each other for a long time. You really came for me? Ralia asked. Yelri nodded. With a human. A human. Ralia blinked. Why? I cried, Yelri said. And he didn't walk away. Later that evening, the elder healer gathered them in the old war room. A dusty hologram projector flickered to life, showing images from deep orbit. One large slaver ship had escaped. They didn't give up, the elder woman said. They left because they had a bigger plan. What kind of plan? Daniel asked. They've announced an auction, in secret. For royal blood. Yelri's eyes widened. They still want Ralia. The elder woman nodded. They believe she's weak, easy to recapture. They sent a message to the black markets. Buyers are already traveling. Daniel stood. Then we end it before it starts. Daniel's plan was risky, too risky, but they had no time. The auction will happen in space, he explained. On one of the floating relic stations, the kind that move to avoid detection. They'll expect slaves, buyers, and guards, not a rescue. Yelri leaned in. So we sneak in. No, Daniel said. We walk in as sellers. Everyone stared. You want to fake a trade? Ralia asked, her voice still weak. They expect someone to deliver the princess, Daniel said. We'll give them what they expect, but on our terms. Yelri stood. You mean, I pretend to be her? You look enough like her. And? If they check, you'll pass. Meanwhile, I'll get inside, hack their security, and take down the auction from within. The elder woman shook her head. It's suicide. Maybe, Daniel said. But if we don't act, they'll come back with more ships. This is our only chance to end it. 2 nights later, the small outpost ship drifted through space. Yelri sat in a dark chamber wearing the stolen collar from the slavers' last attack. It hummed faintly on her neck, a fake, but good enough to fool their scanners. Daniel stood beside her, now dressed in worn trader clothes, face roughened with dirt and scars. He had memorized the slaver codes. He knew how they talked, how they moved. The ship approached a massive station floating near a dead moon. It looked like a fortress, made of scrap and benulled engines, broken parts, twisted metal towers. Lights blinked across it like blinking red eyes. Daniel swallowed hard. This? Is it? Inside the station, the smell of oil and sweat hit them instantly. Crowds moved in shadows, Lalians of all shapes, cloaked in greed. Some laughed, others whispered. All were here for one reason, to bid on living beings. Daniel pushed Yelri forward gently. Act weak, he said softly. But stay alert. She nodded. Lowering her eyes, guards scanned them and waved them through. They passed cages filled with prisoners, some crying, some staring with empty eyes. Daniel clenched his fists. Then they reached the central hall. A round platform stood, under bright lights. Behind it, a tall figure in black armor raised his hands. Welcome to the auction of chains. The voice echoed, twisted by machines. Today, we offer something rare. Royal blood. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Daniel pulled Yelry forward and bowed low. "My offering." The masked leader stepped down and scanned her. "The blood is real," he said. "We will begin shortly." Daniel stepped back, moving toward the tech. Room. Everything was working too perfectly. He reached a terminal and plugged in a small device. The screen flickered. He typed fast. "All right, come on. Show me your secrets." On stage, Yelry stood still, heart racing. The masked leader raised his hand. "The auction begins. Now?" Holograms flashed with bids. Numbers flew across. The screen's offers from warlords, crime lords, and collectors. Behind the platform, Daniel's device beeped. "I'm in." He sent a signal. Suddenly alarms blared. Smoke burst from vents. Lights flashed red. "What is this?" The slaver shouted. Daniel stepped onto the platform, blaster in hand. "It's the end of your business." He shot the control panel. Cages unlocked. Across the station, prisoners ran free. Chaos exploded. Yelry kicked the slaver's knee and ducked behind the stand. Guards charged. Daniel fired. Yelry found a small blade in her boot and defended herself. "I'm not a prize." She yelled. By the time it ended, the station was on fire. Ships fled. The buyers scattered. And Daniel, Yelry, and dozens of rescued captives escaped in a stolen cruiser. As they drifted away from the flames, Daniel looked at Yelry. "You okay?" She nodded, bruised but smiling. "That was crazy." He laughed. "You were brilliant." Leaned back, holding her sister's stone tight. "We're not slaves," she whispered. "Not anymore." The stolen cruiser sailed quietly through the stars. It had once belonged to slavers, but now it carried the free. Inside. The lights were dim, but warm. The engine hummed low. Daniel sat near the front of the ship, looking out the glass window at the stars ahead. He was bruised, sore, and had a bandage on his arm, but he smiled. Behind him, the alien children who had been rescued from the auction slept peacefully in makeshift beds. For the first time in who knew how long, they weren't in chains, and in the center of the room, Yelry and Ralia sat close together, their hands clasped tight. "You really did it," Ralia whispered. Yelry gave a tired smile. "We did it. Together." "No," Ralia said, shaking her head. "You saved me. You spoke in front of killers. You fought. You made the human help." Yelry giggled a little. He helped himself. "I just gave him a reason." Daniel turned. "You gave me a mission." Ralia looked at him carefully. "Why did you really stay human? You could have walked away the first day. Most would have." Daniel leaned back in his chair, sighing. "I don't really know. Maybe because I'm tired of watching innocent people suffer. Maybe because I saw a girl who refused to give up, even when no one helped her." He looked at Yelry. "And maybe because someone believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." Yelry looked down, blushing. "You believed in me too." The next day, the ship docked at a hidden rebel station in a quiet corner of the galaxy. Word had already reached them about the attack on the slaver auction, about the escape, about the two royal sisters who had returned. As Daniel walked off the ship with Yelry and Ralia, people stopped and stared. Some dropped to one knee, others reached out to touch their hands, whispering blessings in old languages. One elder woman stepped forward. "We thought your bloodline was lost." Ralia stood tall, holding Yelry's hand. "We were never lost, just waiting." Applause broke out. Cheers echoed through the station. Daniel stood to the side, silent. He didn't like attention, but Yelry turned and grabbed his hand. She pulled him forward in front of the crowd. "This man is not just a soldier," she said. "He is our protector. He saved me. He saved my sister. We owe him everything." Daniel tried to speak, but the crowd was already cheering his name. He looked down at Yelri. She smiled with quiet pride. That night, after the crowd had gone, the three of them sat in a quiet chamber, drinking warm tea and watching stars blink outside. I don't know what happens next, Ralia said softly. People will expect you to lead, Daniel said. Are you ready? I'll try, she said. But I don't want to do it alone. Yelri looked over. You won't. We'll lead together. Ralia smiled. And what about you, Daniel? Will you stay? He looked down at his cup, then at both of them. I didn't plan to, but maybe I don't need to run anymore. Yelri touched his hand. You're part of this now. You're part of us. He blinked. That sounds dangerous. She grinned. We're royalty. Danger is normal. They all laughed. In the weeks that followed, Daniel helped train rebel forces at the station. He taught them human tactics, how to build defenses, how to fight dirty. And in return, they gave him something he never expected. A place, not just a room. Not just a title, but a home. Yelri visited him often, sometimes dragging him to the kitchens, sometimes asking him to read old Earth stories to her in the night. One evening, as they watched the stars again, Yelri whispered, Do you think I'm still that scared girl who cried in the dark? Daniel looked at her. No, he said. You're the light now. She leaned her head on his shoulder, and they sat in silence, not as a soldier and a princess, but as survivors and family. Months later, message came. The slaver network had collapsed. Without the auction, without their leaders, their control was broken. Other worlds began rising up. Freedom was spreading. The rebellion had become a movement, and it all began with one voice, one cry in the dark. Final scene. A statue stood at the center of the news station. It showed two sisters, Adelie and Rolly standing hand in hand and beside them a human with a worn rifle on his back and a calm strength in his eyes. Below it, words were carved in 3 languages. He heard the cry. He did not walk away. And because of that, we're free.